There's been quite the development lately. Basically, ever since I uploaded that carrier video, there has been several fleets visiting us, and I think one or two fleets actually logged out in our system. Now, I find that quite funny because some of them actually thought that I'll just sit there and die, which when you think about that, it's kind of kind of funny. Now, this year, throughout the whole year, I haven't had any PvP loss. The only ship that I lost this year was that Stratios in that bridge space, and that was a bug, confirmed by the developers. So, yeah, the one ship that I lost was lost from a bug. No PvP losses, just that one Stratios. And I intend to finish this year without losing any ships. So, at least in that aspect, I think I have been doing really well. Basically, only kills and literally no losses throughout the year, and I think that's quite the achievement. Now, lately I have been focused on a lot of things. Haven't really had much time to do PvP. Have been doing industry. Have also been doing the new anomalies, although haven't had that much luck with the loot in the new anomalies, so I kind of failed there. But have been doing a lot of other things besides combat, besides PvP. But I did manage to get some, hopefully some good targets for this video. Now, speaking of PvP, I was talking about the Navy battleship, and I think I have finally decided which one to get. I talked about that with one of my friends, since basically I have good skills for all of the navies except the Apocalypse Navy, and my friend actually recommended me to try all of them out, and that's a very good idea, and that's a very good recommendation, because I will be able to experience all of the navies and basically decide which one will work the best for me. And I think the Raven Navy is definitely going to be a very solid choice. Now, why the Raven Navy? Well, the Raven Navy has a very strong shield, and it has some very good damage application. It's basically like a Typhoon 2 with its damage application, but with Raven's paper DPS. And I'm honestly quite excited to try out the Raven Navy. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to decommission my current battleships. The Macariel has been doing really well so far. Honestly, that this Macariel has been through a lot, and I kind of want to try out a new ship. I also do have the frigates, the Navy frigates, that I do use occasionally, but in most cases I fly cruisers or battleships. So the Raven Navy will be the next ship that I will fly. How will I build that thing? Well, I thought about a build that is very similar to my Macariel here. Basically, I wanted to try out the theory that I had with a supposed glass build, but we will see what will happen. I kind of want to do a full-on brick trunk integrated tank, because why not? The navies already have a insane tank, so might as well just expand on the insane tank and create something that is nearly immortal. I like to make ships that are very hard to kill, but perhaps there's a good chance that it will be something like the Macariel. Now, they do have a very nice bonus on damage control, basically a almost 30-second damage control on the navies, which is making a build like this very interesting. I also have skills for the Tempest Navy, and originally I planned to get a Tempest Navy because I already have like everything cannon related maxed out. I think cannons were my first weapon type that was basically completely maxed out, everything level 5. So if I get a Raven Navy, I'll buy a Tempest Navy as well, since I kind of want to see how it will do if I compare it with something like the Macariel. Now I also did have a Nestor, I also had a Space Pen, but those ships have been sold. I sold Nestor because the price was very good at the time. I sold it for like 14 billion, I think. It was a pretty good price. I bought it for a lot cheaper, sold it for very expensive, so I'm very happy with that. And the Nestor is now 14.4, 14.5 billion. This is basically the price that I sold it at, so I made some pretty good bank on that thing. And the Barghest was also sold at a very good price, around the same price as seen here, so very happy with those decisions. Why don't I fly them? Well, they are just, I think, way too expensive for my taste. I kind of forgot how to fly the expensive ships, to be entirely honest with you. I just enjoy flying cheaper ships, more affordable ships, and in a lot of cases the navies are definitely much more affordable than the rest of the, well, not all of the faction ships, but definitely more affordable than the Sister of Eve, and more affordable than the Barghest. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't fly them. But by the time, in the time I did fly them, they were fun. I really enjoyed the Barghest and Spaceman, but the price tag, it's basically a flying heart attack. These things are just very stressful to fly. But with that being said, that was a long intro, but it will be time to see what type of targets we get today. Okay, time to go towards the first target. Now, my Ortus didn't really see a lot of action lately. Didn't really have much luck with this ship, to be honest. Murphy's Law has completely engulfed the Ortus, so yeah, this ship is on a bad luck streak for quite a while now. Now the first target seems to be a Dramiel. Usually I would take the Stratius, but currently my Stratius isn't around this area, so the second closest ship that can deal with frigates that I have is the Ortus, with rapid missiles, dual scrummers and webs. This thing is extremely lethal for frigates, but it looks like this Dramiel has left. Interesting. So they definitely didn't get the scan notification, because I was observing the Dramiel for quite a while, and they didn't usually, they didn't warp away, but usually if they have a anti-scan build, they do warp off. This one was on the grid for quite a while, but it didn't look like they were scrambled. So let me actually try out the Wayseeker's small anomaly. Let's see if they are over there by any chance. I have about 60-kilometer range with my rapid missiles on this ship, so they can't kite even if they want to. This Ortus has some very nice missile stats, and I'm also maxed out in missiles, and I have a missile implant on top of that, so overall a very lethal cruiser. Although I definitely have to change some of the rigs on this ship, since they're definitely not optimal, and they're definitely not the rigs that I should use, since the ship doesn't really perform that well with the current rigs. Mainly the capacitor is the problem on the Ortus nowadays. Well, it looks like the Dramiel is nowhere to be found. I would probably have to scan again to see if they might have seen the scanner and warped a little bit late. That's also a possibility, but I have no idea what's the case here. Well, I guess I'll dock and get the Aster out to see where they are at. Now I did wait for a while, and it looks like they have a mission. I scanned down the mission, they were there, they are not warping out, so I docked, picked up my Ortus, and now I'm going to return to the mission. Hold a second, just adjusting some things. I misclicked a lot of things on the screen. Should have been the PvP window. There we go. Okay, so going to the Dramiel. The thing is, with the Ortus, you get extra scrambler range, which is nice when you have to engage frigates. Orbit will be approach 0 orbit, well, 5 kilometers should be nice, although 0 kilometers is also nice. Doesn't really matter since this thing has range regardless, and it's not going to be dependent on range and speed. Well, looks like the Dramiel left. I'm not 100% sure that they have the anti-scan build. If they didn't have a anti-scan build, then well, they wouldn't be warping out. So yeah, chance that they return, but I don't think that's going to happen. And it didn't. The Dramiel left the system quickly afterwards. Next targets, I have the Macarial. For some reason my weapons are all over the place. We have a Raven on the menu. Now this Raven seemed like they were kind of tanky, but our Macarials have a lot of DPS. Usually that's not going to be a big problem. Why are my modules all over the place? I have absolutely no idea, but now it's fixed. Okay, usually I have the drone on the other side. That's what I messed up. Yeah, I should just put the damage control at the other side of the other page, but it doesn't matter. Let's just go and see what we have. Still waiting on the balance patch, by the way. Still holding on to my ISK, and depending on how the balance patch goes, I will definitely change my... Well, I'm not going to change my implants, but I'm definitely going to change the level of the implants, or perhaps I might even buy a new implant. I have no idea what I'll do. It honestly depends on what they do on the balance patch. That should arrive sometime in September. I give it 2 weeks to officially arrive, because there's like 2 weeks left in September, and you can't have a September balance patch in October. That wouldn't be a September balance patch. So waiting to see what happens with that. There is of course still time, but we'll see. If they buff some implants, if they nerf some implants, I'll definitely decide which one is going to be the best for my case and for my use, and I'll definitely get that one. 578 million ISK, not bad, decent Raven kill. Also, the Raven went down very quickly, which was to be expected. Okay, let's go to the next target. Looks like we have... Oh, well, Insurance Prevention Service has been called, and there is a ship trying to do insurance fraud in the Serpentis base, and well, I have been called to prevent the fraud. Oh, and it is a procurer. Alright, fair enough. Pointed, and there's one hit, and there is the second hit. Insurance fraud, insurance scam has been prevented. Let's now warp out. My job here is done. Usually, when you see a ship in a base anomaly like this, they're usually doing insurance fraud, and the best thing to do is just blow up their ship to prevent the insurance fraud from happening. It is kind of hilarious and kind of funny, but you know, it is a thing. So, yeah. All right, let me align and let's take a look at the kill. Well, that's a little bit weird. Usually the ships have rigs, but this ship didn't have any rigs. Not really sure what kind of insurance fraud this was, but I don't know. I have no idea why they yeeted their ship like that. It's definitely insurance fraud, but a little bit confused
warp drive active.
as to why the rigs were missing. Anyway, let's go to the next target. We have a Caracal Sniper,
Autopilot disabled.
which is usually a very tasty target. Well, I say tasty targets, they are very interesting ships to fight. Okay, let's approach. Very nice. Warping. But my nice warping ended up not being a nice warping. I was a little bit too slow. If I only had my kite cells, it would definitely be different. Alright, now let me try and warp back to the Caracal Snipers. Normally I love how there's a
Warp drive
Moros
active.
just chilling at the entry here. There's just a Moros chilling at the entry of the station. Okay, the Caracal Sniper warped out the second I log in. Alright, fair enough. I'll just dock the cells and perhaps they do return, but it is going to take some effort to
Warp drive active.
catch this Caracal, since they are now actively avoiding me, and I'm also kind of lagging really hard. Not really sure what's up with that. Alright, let's see, we have a prophecy, and I usually don't forget my implant, but in this case I did. So let me quickly
Docking
dock
request
and
accepted.
let me quickly change what I messed up here, and also forgot the ship here. Let me pick the right cells. I have two of them, so it can be quite confusing. One cells is the close range cells, and the other cells is the long range one. This is the long range one that I am using nowadays, and it does have a lot of different builds that I utilize on this ship.
Undocking.
Usually it has gyro stabilizers, but in this case I have a clocking device, just in case, because my internet is horrible. And when my internet is horrible, I prefer to have a clocking device. And again, I forgot the implant. This is 2 times in a row. Oh well, let's just go. I forgot the implant. I'll just fight
Warp
without the
drive
implant,
active.
since it seems like everything is going wrong today. Well, it is what it is. Can't help that. There is the prophecy. 50 kilometers away from me. I misclicked on the extender. Another failure. So yeah, this is an example of when everything goes wrong. Literally everything today went wrong, as you can see. There is nothing that went right throughout this little encounter. I even approached at 0 with a kite build. So yeah, this is an example of what not to do with a cells that's built with a kite
Warp
build.
drive active.
You don't approach to 0, because your tracking will be messed up, and that's exactly what happened. So yeah, this was horrible on my end. This was very horrible on my end. I messed up so much. It all started with implants, and it ended with my approach. So yeah, 194 million ISK, a prophecy built for relic sites for some reason. That's kind of interesting. Okay, let's go to the next
Warp
target.
drive
There's a
active.
dramil here. Not really sure what a dramil is doing. Perhaps they're hunting, but a dramil isn't really a big threat, so I'm not really worried about that ship. Okay, warping to the next target. This is the same cells this time with the right
Warp drive
build,
active.
and this time I did not mess up the implant. Well, maybe I didn't. Maybe I did mess up the implant. Who knows? Maybe the overview just glitched. And we have a Omen Navy. Interesting. By the looks of it, a armor Omen Navy. Now here is an example of my module not wanting to turn on my micro warp drive. Even though I clicked on it, it did not want to turn on, and that kind of wasted a couple of shells, but not a big deal. Managed to click the micro warp drive on time, and it did some damage on the Omen Navy.
We're under attack.
Which is also fast. That was a fast Omen Navy. Alright, let's take a look at the wreck and then we can warp out.
We're under attack.
Kind of messed up with my approach there again, but doesn't matter. The ship got destroyed.
Warp drive active.
Alright, warping out, cloaking. Since my internet is bad, I'll just use the cloaking device this time. Usually when I have a cloaking device on my ship, it means my internet is bad, so just to make that clear, 140 million is actually not a bad omen, not a bad value. That's a good navy kill. Next we have a Megatron. In a mission, I'll be sending my Macariel for that job. I think they were at 0. We're about to find out. Megatron warping at 1 kilometer, usually 1 or 0. I do usually warp at about 1, just for that little chance for error. I missed so many ships because I didn't warp that 1 extra kilometer. So one of the reasons why I warp at that distance is because, you know, that little margin of error that's usually there. I missed so many ships because I warped 1 kilometer away from them. 1 kilometer too short or too far. Well, not too short. There is no such thing as too short, too far. Okay, scrambled, focusing fire. There goes the shields. There goes the armor. And the Megatron has been destroyed very quickly, as expected from a DPS Macariel. And now let's warp out. Depending on how the balance patch goes, I may level up my barrage implant and basically just stick with cannons. Or maybe if they don't change the bombardati implant, I will probably start flying drone boats. So depending on how things go, I will definitely change a lot of things after the balance patch. 711 million, not bad. A sniper shield tank, Megatron, and they did have some stabs. Interesting. And they also did have some tank to go along with it. So overall, not a entirely bad build. And let's go to the next targets. We have a Drake warping at about 15 kilometers. This time built for long range.
Warp drive active.
And I think this is definitely the build that I would use in this case. A guidance disruptor is always useful against the Drake. Alright, here we are. Let's approach, locking the Drake on. And let's see how long the Drake lasts. Usually the Drakes are quite robust ships, but perhaps this one might go down easily. We will find out. Definitely the Barrage Plus Battle modes really do a lot of damage on the Drake. And overall, in general, they do. This combination does a lot of damage in general, so I'm not really complaining about the DPS on this thing. It just wrecks. It's a very fun to fly ship. With maxed out skills, it is definitely a menace. I love this thing. It's a very fun to drive, very fun to fly cruiser. It's not my favorite cruiser for no reason after all. Right now the Celos is definitely in my top 3 favorite cruisers of all time because just how ridiculous it is. Okay, let's loot wreck and then we can warp out. Well, this has been well, I would say a very nice run, but not really happy with how many ships have escaped, although that's just
Warp
part of the game,
drive
so sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you miss the targets. It's just all part of the game, so I don't really mind, but could have had a lot more good kills, I guess, but nevertheless was still a very nice roam today. I like to say any kill is a good kill, so I'm honestly not complaining about missing targets. It's just part of the game, and I did mess up quite a few times today, so that's also kind of surprising. Usually I don't mess up this much, but you know, I guess it's just one of those days where everything that can go wrong will go wrong. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to support me, feel free to like and subscribe, and with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.